Syed Kirmani, who created history in the world of cricket, today leaves behind a career which is nothing but being glorious. The splendid essay of timeless talent, a man who gave immeasurable thrill to all those who watched him in action.
Let's just go back way back into your life and talk about some of the early days and when you first probably took to this great game.
Well, I think I should go back in my real, before I could reach the teens. You know, at the age of 5 I came into Bangalore when my father was transferred from Hyderabad. So as any other kid who plays into the locality, I was playing all sorts of games, starting from marbles, tops, flying kites, gilli dandul, and all these things. And in the locality gang, the friends which I had, I used to excel in whatever game I played. Marbles, I used to be the tops in that group. Gilli dandu, the best shot. Okay, so likewise, as I grew up, a little bit of better sports, outdoor games started coming into my mind. And there was this team formed in our extension called Jai Mahal Extension. So that's, the area was under development, and there were only the government quarters where we used to stay. So there was, being the youngest in the team, Dada-like type, who was the captain. Go and stand behind the wickets. The three only sticks, no stumps also. And one cork ball was bought. One bat, which I don't really remember what sort of bat it was. So now, no wicket keeping gloves. Now how do I stop the cork ball? So the constructions were going on. So I used to pick up bricks and stop the cork ball. So that's where I got into the game, the cricket game. So brick was my first glove.
Well, it seems to me like you owe your wicket-keeping status to the local bully.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely. And this guy used to really bully we youngsters. And you stand there, you better stand behind only. You are fit for that only.
Which other games did you play at that early stage?
My first sport was athletics in school, St. Joseph's Indian High School, and then hockey and football. I played all the house games, and I was excelling in all those games. What my coach at that stage said, Kiri, cricket, you seem to be better off in cricket than other games, and which has much more glamour than any other game. So you better concentrate on cricket.
So the glamour did get you even at the early stage.
Yeah.
Born on December 29, 1951, Kirmani started his test career on the twin tour to New Zealand and Australia. It was on the 1971 tour to New Zealand when Kirmani had his best chance to keep in the tests.
Can you remember the first match or first victory or first sign that you had in those early days that your future lay in cricket?
Yes, way back in 1966 when I was selected for the Indian schools to play against the Australian schools which were touring during that year, Charu. And my very first test match against them at Madras, I scored 100. And the second test match at Hyderabad, another 100. So it went on like that, and eventually I was selected to go to England. That was the first ever Indian schools team touring England in 1967. So that was the time when I was about probably 16 and a half to 17 years of age. And that was the time when I suppose I was told, "Bhai, you've got a very bright future. So concentrate on this game and you can go higher up, and you have got the talent and the promise to play higher standard of the game."
Great. Now, in what kind of early pressures or obstacles did you face even then, or should we say competition, from the peers?
Oh, there has always been the competition all along. But as long as you're doing well, the performance is what matters. That was considered, and I thought I was lucky to have been performing consistently.
There must have been other fairly good wicket keepers in your early days as well. Now, so what do you think set you apart from them?
Yes, there were better wicket keepers than me in my school days when we toured England. There was my very good friend Asif from Hyderabad, who's doing very well in Chicago now. And probably if he was in the country, I may not have been playing, perhaps.
He was that good, was he?
He was the
All
number
right.
one amongst the Indian schools. So on that particular tour, I was asked to concentrate more on my batting than my wicket keeping. So there were 3 wicket keepers on the tour. I was 4th in that list. But I never gave up my wicket keeping practice. When I came back from Indian school's tour, I took up my gloves again, not realizing that I would be playing for the country. And I went on and on working hard on my wicket keeping aspect of it. And then eventually, I think it was in 1970, 70, I think, when Budhi Kundran gave up wicket keeping for Karnataka and said, Kiri is the man who should keep wickets for Karnataka, while this is my farewell match. That was at Bombay. So from there on, I picked up I was picked up as a state wicket keeper.
Now, when it comes to batting or bowling, we've heard of a lot of coaches, we've heard of academies and what have you. Who helped you and how much help did you receive in the art of wicket keeping?
I think my coach K.K. Tarapur. In those days, we never had any academies or coaching camps, or we just had a coach. We used to hear about the coaches, but I don't remember. I'm sure K.K. would have definitely told me about the finer points of the game or finer points of wicket keeping. But it was only when I toured England in 1971 as a baby of the team, when Mr. Wadekar was the captain. And that was the historic victory overseas, and that's where I saw the best in the world. Alan Knott, Bob Taylor, and Australia was touring England at that stage, Rodney Marsh.
It was a position which Kirmani would occupy with great relish for over a decade. He would bring off splendid catches and stumpings and generally was a great influence. He would also be a great source of strength as a batsman. He played many an innings for India which took them out of trouble spots.
Apart from the other cricketers, naturally, in your earlier days before you were playing for the country, where else did you receive the inspiration and encouragement from?
I think it was just the love of the game. And since I was told, I have got the promise and the talent to play a higher standard. And cricket was a very popular game, even those days. Though I suppose we were good in hockey as well. Indian team as a hockey team. But I think I got more inclined towards the game. When I toured England, I said this is the game I should continue, and that's it.
The love of the game, one, of course. What about early idols or heroes, particularly?
I don't know how many would digest this when I say, I don't know, I think I have a system. I've never idolized anybody so far. I've never had anybody in my mind, I must work on this pattern or follow so and so, or follow so and so style. I never had anybody, but I always admired the best, maybe whatever field, and I appreciate it. And if there's any good quality, I would pick it up.
How much did the family support you and your endeavors to playing good cricket?
Well, going back in those younger days, there were no scopes for a sports person to be employed. So my parents, naturally, they emphasized more on my academic career than the sporting career. I very distinctly remember my father saying, "Son, you will get a good job when you pass your degree course or when you are a graduate. So concentrate more on your studies." Then I'm seeing that you're playing more, you're devoting more time in your sporting activities. Not realizing that I got my job with State Bank of India when I was still at school. I was still at school, Charu. I was doing my SSLC in St. Joseph's Indian High School. Immediately after the return from the Indian Schoolboys Tour of England, I was offered a job. The first offer, I said, sorry, my father has asked me to get a degree to get a good job. The second approach was very frequent in 6 months' time. And that's the time when I checked out with my dad. Dad was retiring in 1968, that same year. He said, "Son, I'm retiring this year. the job is coming onto your doors, take up the job. I'm sure he did realize that sports gave me a job and not my graduation.
जब सैयद किरमानी छोटे थे, स्कूल में थे और उन्होंने ज़्यादातर खेल की तरफ ध्यान दिया और पढ़ाई की तरफ शायद अगर कम दिया हो, तो आपको कैसा लगा कि कहीं आगे जाके मुश्किल ना हो जाए?
जी, ऐसा तो लगा हमें। थोड़ा उनको खेल वगैरह से हम रोकते रहे। अब बाद में जब इनकी शोहरत होने लगी और इनके पेपर्स में हेडलाइंस और फोटोज वगैरह आने लगे तो हमारी खुशियों को दुबाला हो गया।
और आगे जाकर जब उन्होंने हिंदुस्तान के लिए खेला और दुनिया के सबसे बढ़िया विकेट कीपर माने गए, तो कैसा लगा आपको?
ये तो बिल्कुल खुशी की बात हुई और हमारी खुशियों में तो चार चांद लग गए।
कैसा लगता है आपको कि क्या उन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी उस तरह से जी जिस तरह से आप चाहती थी?
ये तो हम कैसे बोल सकेंगे कि कैसे कैसे क्या होने वाला है, ये सब अल्लाह के हाथ है। और फिर तमाम दुआओं के असरों से, अपने माँ बाप की दुआओं के असर से परवरदिगार उसका लाख लाख शुक्र है, एहसान है कि वो किरमानी को अच्छे नाम पैदा करके शोहरत हासिल करने की तौफीक इनाम किया।
Askari, you were a cricketer too. So what role, what influence did you have on Syed's early cricketing life?
Of course, I would say that he picked up cricket seeing me playing cricket. Of course, I mean, as far as high school is concerned, up to high school level, when I was playing for first division, I mean, first 11, he was in third 11. You can imagine the gap of cricket standard.
Did you just encourage him, or did you in fact even coach him a bit?
That time, we didn't know, we never had that word coach as such, I was playing my cricket, he was playing his cricket. So obviously, that improved our game. And
did you at that early stage advise him against wicket keeping or for it? Or did you say, well, why don't you bat instead, it's a much more glamorous option, or perhaps even bowl, or did you always encourage his wicket keeping ability?
No, wicket keeping he picked up later on. He was more a batsman than a wicketkeeper when we both started playing cricket. He was more in the team as a batsman, but along with that, since we didn't have a wicketkeeper, he just took on to that line. Then he stuck on to that.
At what point of his cricketing career did you feel that, hey, this fellow might even play for the country? He's good.
When he was playing for school first 11s, that time, whatever little cricket I had played, at that time I could gauge that, yes, this guy has got real stuff in him. Then, and he requires real encouragement. And that, whenever I had gone to play some level of cricket, he was always with me playing something or the other with me. So obviously on that, he improved his game too. He never let go at any stage that matter, I mean, he kept on playing. Of course, father was not all that inclined on this game, but I indirectly supported his because I knew that he has real some stuff in him.
In India's wicket-keeping history, Kiri's was the most glorious reign. He was very quick and precise and a great influence for the other members of the side.
No sport can exist without the official side of it, the administrative side of it.
Yeah.
So in your experience and in your life, what kind of a role did these administrators, the officials play? Was it supportive, encouraging, or did it have scope for improvement?
Well, let me put it this way. You see, any sportsman, of course, there is the support required by the respective association or the board. But it's eventually the individual's performance which makes all the difference. If he's doing well, he's automatically selected. All right, there's a committee, all right. And so when you perform well, you are obviously in the team. So the administrators or the boards or the associations, I don't think they would interfere into the selections of any individual. Of course, they encourage by giving you chances to play for your state. If they see that you're good, if they see that you have the promise, if they see that you have the talent, yes, they encourage you by saying, okay, join certain good clubs. These are the good clubs which could take you right on top. I mean, those are the, I think these are the advices the administration or the associations or the boards can give you. And the rest is in the hands of an individual to climb up the ladder.
What about the role of the media? I mean, they do play a biggish role now. In your case,
for sure.
In your case, how much support, how much encouragement did you get from the media, and was it constant?
Yes, of course. Like my performance was consistent, right? So the media also were very consistent in giving me, obviously, when you do well, they write well about you. And when you don't do well, nobody will say, though I have done badly, they cannot say, they cannot write. Everybody is watching my performance.
And would you consider yourself to be closer to the media than most other sports stars? Did you have a good rapport with them personally?
Yeah, for sure. It all depends on your rapport also. An individual's rapport with anybody. If he's in the good books, of course, the support is also there. But if you're in the bad books, however good you might be, however popular you might be, you don't, you're not appreciated if you're not in the good books of anybody for that matter.
All right, you have already achieved a state in your cricketing career where you were playing rather well, you were a regular on the side and what have you. How did you take the public adulation, the fan following that a cricketer in India develops?
It's a tremendous feeling, Char. You feel great when there's a tremendous fan following, when you have the mail at home. When you come home, you find a pile of fan mail. And some interesting letters, some encouraging letters, some discouraging letters. It's a mix-up. And the more the crowd, the better the performance of an individual. He would like any artist for that matter. You take it. If you want the best out of him, you got to have a house full.
Did it ever get too much for you? Maybe led to some irritation? Or were you always close with the public regardless of how many in numbers?
Well, there were at times, when I used to feel bad. When you're in a hurry to board the bus or get out of the immigration or the customs or anywhere where you have to get into an official party. When some fans come around and say, autograph please. And that's the time when you can stop, you can't stop and sign them, That's where you feel a little bad, you can't oblige everybody at every time.
Because of his brilliant performances, he received the highest award for a sportsperson, the Arjuna Award. Besides this, he also has the Padma Sri Award under his belt.
Went through your mind when you first played for your country, the first day, the first match, maybe the first ball?
Yeah.
How did it all feel?
Yeah, I think it was in 1976. That was the twin tour, New Zealand and West Indies. My first match, of course, being with the Indian team from 1971 to 75, gave me a lot of exposure, experience, and maturity. And that gave me a lot of confidence also.
Kiri, while playing at the highest level of the game, major international cricket, did you ever feel that the criticism against Indian sportspersons was even marginally true about the killer instinct not being there in full measure?
Yes, to a certain extent, we lacked that little bit of we were 99, but 101% was missing somewhere down the line. It's not enough to have just 4 or 5 players who have the 100% killer instinct. It got to be a total, everybody, the entire 15 should start thinking, yes, we must win. Then only the result is seen. And we had that in 1983. Tremendous killer instinct we had. And for the simple reason that the very first match which we played at Manchester against the holders, world champions, West Indians. So in the very first match we beat them. 260 plus we scored, and we got them out within that. And that gave us the moral booster, like, we have beaten the world champions. So no giving up now. So everybody got geared after that victory, and that saw us through the finals.
The 1983 World Cup and the victory, of course, was possibly the best moment of Indian cricket.
Sure.
But apart from that, because enough has been talked about that, which moments do you remember as your best performances in your career?
I think all the Australian tours were good. I was very consistent, and the comeback series, home series, against the Australians in 1979. My first mission was in 1979 to England, and in home series I played Australia, and in my comeback series I scored 100 as a night watchman at Wankhede Stadium. And so that was one of my glorious moments. And the second century I scored against England at the same venue, Bombay. That was another moment. That was after marriage.
All right. Okay, all these are batting glories, batting moments. What about one spectacular moment of your wicket-keeping ability that you still remember?
There were quite a few catches, but out of them, the outstanding one was at Madras against Pakistan in 1979 of Kapil Dev.
Do you remember the ball, the moment?
Yeah, for sure, yes. It was very, very clear in my mind. You know, it was an in-swinger coming in from Kapil, and Mudassar Nazar was the right-hander. And he glanced it pretty fine. I just made an attempt, a sincere attempt. And it was there in my gloves. And that was, I think that's the best catch of my career.
Habiba, in 1979, you married a very popular member of the Indian cricket team. How did it feel?
I think I married Kirmani as a man more than the cricketer, because I'm also from a cricketing family. So I don't think it was that, though I was from a very orthodox family, it was not that glamorous.
You weren't that impressed?
Not impressed. As a man, I got married to him.
How was life as the wife of an international cricketer?
It was quite hectic, especially he being away from me for months together. But I think that's life. Life is full of ups and downs. So
Managed quite well without him?
Yeah.
What about life post-retirement? When he did retire, how did it feel to you?
I still can't digest it. It's really hard to digest that he's not playing cricket anymore, though he had definitely a few more years in him.
Yeah, it's really a
It's
pity.
really sad. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate he's not playing for the country anymore.
Do you remember the first time that you got to know your father was actually a famous cricketer, perhaps one of the best wicket keepers in the world?
Yeah, well, I was just 3 to 4 years when I saw him play on the television, and I was very excited after seeing that. I'm very proud that he's one of the best cricketers in the world, and I wish him all the luck in the future.
What do you think is his, a little unfair actually the question, but what do you think is his biggest strength on the cricketing field? Where do you think he's the best?
He's best behind the wickets.
I think 86 was my last trip to Australia. That was the time when I got a little injury in Australia, a groin injury. And from there on, I was not considered at all. But I gave myself a long rope between 86 to 92. 86 to 92,
Very long rope.
I gave heart and soul. I've never worked so hard in my entire career than what I did between 86 and 92. I suppose that's a fate. I have taken it in my stride.
Kirmani in all played 88 test matches and his tally of 188 victims is the highest for India. He is a man who in the annals of Indian cricketing history would be deemed to be a truly great one.